Okay, red light's on. We'll just make sure that sound and vidya and all these things are working. Once I see numbers, okay, looks like we have 50 people in here already waiting. This stuff all fell beforehand, so I'm a little out of kilter. All right, what's happening, Fish and Friends? Welcome to another episode. Excited tonight because we are doing some jig talking, some lure making. I know Dizzle's going to be excited. Dizzle, did you see the cover for this and just go
the thumbnail? Yeah,
jigs?
You purposely kept this a secret from me.
I didn't want to tell you because I knew it was going to be, oh, hey, do you like to throw jigs, Scott? I throw a lot of jigs too. Funny
That's
enough,
hilarious.
Dizzle, today's the video from today, I did get out on the kayak one last time before I absolutely destroyed and blew my back out lifting the kayak up into my truck. I did catch a grown one on the Dizzle rig. So
about time you catch one.
I know, finally caught a healthy one.
On the is it on the free rig?
No, it was funny enough. Yeah, exactly. That's the new Dizzle rig, that or a swim jig, right? No, it was on the OG Dizzle rig, the War Eagle heavy finesse jig.
Oh,
craw trailer. Yeah. I had a head tilt to Dizzle. I got some more of those in. I had ran low. I had threw some out in giveaways and stuff. So I was like, oh, I'll order a couple. Tied one on today because I'm like, I was going to tie on the Ned rig. And I was like, what would Dizzle do? Dizzle would throw a jig. And I had a couple packs of those. So I threw them in the yak. And there we go.
That is a shirt. Sorry, that's
not heck of windy.
What would Dizzle do?
I did. I'm too fat now to wear it. It's a large. And I put them on and it looks like a bra now on me because I've gotten so chunky. But yeah, one of my good friends, God, who was it? Who made those? Was that Frank? Or was that... Oh, no, it wasn't Frank. Who made those? Oh, my gosh. I can't remember. But he made two of them for us. I think his sister owns like a shirt, screen printing place. One of them was What Would Dizzle Do? Throw jigs. Or no, do as Dizzle does, throw jigs. And the other one was just, I think, said Fish and Friends. So pretty awesome that I've got folks that follow and watch and do that. I love the community. Just like all the people out there that are members who, for some reason, pay out of their own pockets to support me monthly. I don't know what is wrong with you crazy people. Just like Scott and all the others, I appreciate the heck out of you. Even if you don't, doesn't matter. Just watching, supporting. That's all that I ever ask. So tonight, Scott with BassDope Jigs. Now you might remember it's been, I don't know, a little while ago, out of the blue, Scott sent me some stuff. Didn't know what was coming. He just surprised me with some awesome jigs. And actually early this spring, I've still got the footage saved, catching them on one of your little round finesse jigs, one of the little koosh ball jigs, I call them. It's going to be in a gear review video, so I saved it for that because I think I only caught like 3 jig fish that day because they were biting a crankbait, so I just kept slinging the crank. But making some cool stuff. So Scott, tell us, give us your 30-second elevator speech about BassDope, where you're at, what you're doing, stuff.
So I've been doing this now as BassDope for just under 2 years. So it's still a new company. I started off because I was making my own jigs and making stuff for myself. I'd go fishing on the river with some friends and I was catching them. They're like, what are you using? Oh, I'm using this little jig that I made, or little Ned Midwest finesse jig or whatever. And so they started asking me for them, and people wanted the stuff that I was using. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to start a website and have a place for people to go and buy stuff. And the whole BassDope concept just came to me. The concept is that it's crack for bass, and so all the names, colors are all named after some drug. You can go on the
maybe not PG rated, but it's a joke. Like Scott said, it all started as a joke, and he just kind of kept going with it.
It's just fun. It's supposed to be fun. So
yeah.
But I mean that's what it was. It started off as kind of a joke, and then it just keeps going. And now I've got some people that buy our product from all over the country. They come up with like a new skirt combo or describe to me how they want the skirt to be. and I give them the opportunity to come up with some names. So it's been
awesome.
fun like that.
Yep. Yeah. It's like crack for bass is what we were talking about before, joking about it.
Yeah.
And it's funny because looking, through the stuff we were talking earlier, it kind of reminds me of Reaction Innovations, where it's like they just make jokes of all the names, like, hey, let's not take life too seriously because we all bleed red and tomorrow we could very well not be here. So hey, just have fun with it. So we're not trying to get demonetized or anything. It's just a fun thing.
But on the serious side,
yeah.
that what really got me into it was trying to tweak a mousetrap, tweak it to make it just a little bit better. I do a lot of river fishing. So in the river around here, I'm sure everywhere you got a lot of
Chicago
rock.
area, right?
Yeah, I'm just outside of Chicago. We fish the Des River, the DuPage River, Kankakee River, a lot of rock. Some of the rivers have just unbelievable amounts of snags, wood, tires, bodies, whatever, all kinds of things.
I literally was going to ask you if you get to worry
Shopping
about snagging up.
There's one river in particular where you got to watch out for that stuff. Just kidding. But so I tried to come up with designs that can get through that stuff, because why do you spend $5 or $10 on a lure and then lose it on your first cast? So I want people to be able to wear these things down. I've got one customer that has a spinnerbait that he says he's caught hundreds of fish on, and he sends me pictures of this thing, and it's become kind of a joke. It's barely hanging by a thread. Spinnerbaits don't last forever. If you catch a lot of
wire
fish
keeps
on them,
bending.
yeah, the wire bends, or the lead gets loose, and the wire starts moving around. This thing is destroyed, but he keeps throwing it. So it's pretty cool.
I love it. Now, so for me, I told Scott we were going to kind of pepper him with questions. Dizzle, I know, is going to have a bunch through here. So as we go here, I might even put a little shopping cart together, and that might be tonight's giveaway. Is we're going to buy some stuff and put a little box together and do a giveaway here. Now, I'm going to ask you, so through the jig, so here's all the stuff. Am I sharing? Okay.
Yeah.
So here's all the stuff that Scott offers. For me, when I first opened it up, it was the jigs. This is what I was referring to as the koosh ball jigs, if you're old enough like me to remember these. Throwing around one of these in a little quarter ounce in this purple haze that is absolutely killer color for around here. Little kiss of purple. We'll go through these and kind of talk through these, but what is when we're looking at products, what's your number one selling thing that you sell the most?
It's the Candy Finesse jig.
Is it really?
Yeah, they actually are in the order of what sells the best.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that Dizzle's swim jig and the flipping jig. And I also like that you've got, slightly different looks. So the head on these is pretty cool. It's kind of more of I don't know that you have a side view, but kind of like a,
yeah. So that's kind of what the jig is broken down
right here. So pretty cool there how it's got that, and it's kind of got the little gill flare he's made into it. Now, so are you using like molds that you've bought, or do you have any that you have had custom made for you?
Yeah, so everything's custom made with a couple exceptions. Like the Midwest Finesse Ned is still a do-it mold. Until somebody comes up with a better hook, it's going to stay that way. I'm itching to redesign it, but there's not much more you could do with it on like the victory chassis. I'd like a little bit of a heavier wire, but so
that's what I did to mine.
Yep. But all those jigs are custom molds. So I got a guy out of New Jersey. So I draw stuff up the old fashioned way and send it to him, and he puts it in CAD and then cuts molds for me.
Oh, that is sick. That's awesome. See, that's what I like is when, you find these little gems like this. Cause I didn't ever recognize that. I know that's the same. Whoops, was on the wrong page. I know that head is the same one you use on your swim bait heads, and like the little A-rig here, which I know is another one that I've got asked about a bunch after that video. Yours and the one from, and I'm going to forget it. I forget it every time. Basky got me turned on to it. They come in a little tube. I'll have to look. Chat will probably know. Chat, what's the little A-rig that Hank uses. Anyway, those two are the coolest ones I have seen. Scott's and that one. So Dizzle, what do you got? I know you're just waiting for questions down there. Yes, there it is right there. Pat's got a question here real quick. Down the jerkbait rabbit hole, ordered a Dobbins Champ rod, new Daiwa reel, couple Vision 110s, a Stunna 100, and some Lucky Crap. Oh my gosh, now what? I don't know. I don't know what the question is. I mean, you're ready to go. Go fish them, Pat.
Go do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Go get after them.
Yeah, catch them.
You got the setup. Dizzle, what do you got? I know you're itching for questions here. I did surprise you with this one tonight. So
I've just been looking through the website, looking at the Count Cracula compact jigs. Those look really good. I like the I like a jig like that where it's more cut and I don't know what you'd call the neck, almost like a collar type of deal.
finesse cut.
Yep. I like those definitely a lot better. Some really good looking colors in here too. Which one is this? This is the blue Zen. I'm really digging that color. I don't really have a whole lot of questions. It's at the bottom of that list right there.
Oh.
It's the very last one.
Oh, kind of like a pond scum look.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Zen and Blue Zen came from local guys around here. We're trying to match the crayfish in the river.
Mm-hmm.
And Zen is like a really good match, but a lot of the crayfish have that kind of weird blue that kind of shows up, whether it's at the end of their claws or underneath the belly. So that's why we did Blue Zen. So you've got some of that blue in there.
Yeah, we get the same, but ours end up being like primarily blue with almost like a Okeechobee crawl color, like your Wicked Up. It looks up. Yep. Yeah. Kind of like that, where it's a really, really, really blue color, almost no red whatsoever, no orange to it, and then kind of the darker green, black belly.
That's a fun top. That's a fun thing though. Like researching crawfish.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
you come up with a million colors just on that.
Oh yeah,
you've got really good sight pictures too.
Oh yeah, definitely. Those are definitely good looking jigs. Yeah, I can't stop looking at the website, looking at all the different ones. I haven't looked at the swim jigs yet.
Oh,
Yeah,
I was going to say with your swim jig, let me get back to those.
Oh, of course, Dizzle's going to talk about swim jigs. Amy, what kind of rod do you use for jigs? Well, it would kind of depend on what jig you're looking at, Amy. Are we talking finesse jigs, swim jig, 1/8 ounce jig, or 1/2 ounce jig? What are you throwing? And maybe we can help you.
Definitely.
Ice fishing, Daniel, that's going to be coming soon, baby. I'm actually ready for it because I want some more fish fries. Maybe we'll come up your way. Scott, do you ice fish at all?
I'm not against it, but I always try to find open water. We've got a couple warm water discharges around here, so I can cast almost all year.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, I wish we had one of those power plant lakes around here. That would be sweet to just be like, oh yeah, it's January 15th and I'm fishing. It's
that one off the highway isn't warm anymore, Debo?
No, it used to be. That used to grow giants. We had a lake down by the Quaker factory, actually the largest Quaker factory, I believe, in the nation, I want to say. I thought somebody said that. Anyway, I think they did water discharge, and it used to stay mostly open, but they stopped doing that. So that sucks.
So jig rod, like you said, there's a lot of different options. I personally like for most of our jigs, with the exception of this.
She said football, 1/2 and 3/8.
Oh yeah, that's for me. That would be like a 7.1 to 7.3 medium heavy fast.
I'm right there with you. Yep.
I like St. Croix, but what I learned, and I also like braid to leader. And
I only do that on spinning. I don't do it on casting gear.
So I think I started really getting into that because of the St. Croix rods. St. Croix rods are softer than most.
Mm-hmm.
I switched it up a little bit and grabbed a Johnny Morris Platinum. It's like a 7.3 medium heavy fast, and I did braid to leader, and I was like oversetting the hook because there was just no give in the system. It's a little stiffer rod. So those are rabbit holes, though. I love talking about that kind of stuff, but the truth is there are certain combos that just work fantastic for a specific jig or technique.
Yep. Yeah, everyone's not the same. Great point on, yeah, some rods can run soft. Actually, like this right here, Neil just said, ordered a Dobbins Caden. Why not? Love the all-core candles. What are your thoughts? Love the Caden's rods. That's another rod line that tends to run soft. Most of the Dobbins stuff tends to run a little soft, I think, which I like. I'm completely fine with that. They do have some extra fast ones, but yeah, I've got, I think, do I have 2 Cadence casting rods? I know for sure I've got at least one in a spinning, and I love them. Would have no trouble fishing a fleet of those through the year. Question for Scott here. Only open water fishing until April for me is river fishing, a warm water discharge on the Mississippi. What do you recommend for a rocky area with a bunch of smallies?
Oh yeah, so this is I love this part. If on the river, the magic weight is really the quarter ounce. I would definitely do like a candy jig or the football jig. If it's a lot of rock, then I would probably just go with the football at a quarter ounce. But as an alternative to it, if you want a more weedless Ned or a more rockless Ned, that's where I would go with the 1/8 ounce candy jig. This one's tipped off with the micro D-bomb. But this thing is a really nice Ned alternative, and the skirt material on the top here really helps keep the jig from getting into the crevices. That's the nice thing about that real bulky skirt and that short cut.
And it's light enough that,
Very
like you're
light,
saying,
yep.
it's not going to get into it. Yeah, because if it's heavy, 1/2 ounce, it's just going to go shooting through that. That's an interesting point. Yeah.
Yeah, and then this guy's beat up a little bit, but this is the football's finesse jig, and using a little like Ned trailer on it. Even though I say the other one is the better Ned replacement, I still like using a Ned trailer sometimes on the full size quarter ounce. But this kills the smallies. Absolute kills them. That's what we do.
JT Fishing, question for all three of us. Do you cut the weed guard even with the hook? I had an old timer tell me to cut the weed guard even with the hook.
So the stuff that I send out, I will cut the weed guard on the lighter weights, and I try to keep them a little longer than I fish them, just so you can trim them up the way you want. But like, for example, here, this is a new color that I was playing around with for Mr. Debo, because it wasn't until recently that I found out that you don't like peanut butter with your jelly.
I don't. That purple haze is nice because it's just got a little bit of that brown. It's got the black and then the brown and then the purple, but
this is not showing up super well with the camera here. It's a little more purpley, not as pinky in real life. But to use this as an example with the weed guard, this is the way that I would send it out, where it's a little long here. I usually will trim it to the barb. You know, when I'm using it. That's what I've always
heard too.
Yeah, I'll bend it down and trim it right to that barb.
Yep, that's what I've heard. And you do have to remember on some of those weed guards, when you feel it, when it's long, it might feel soft, and you're like, oh, it's not going to protect me much. And then you go cut it real short. Some of those that are really, really stiffen up that weed guard, the shorter you cut it. So then you might feel it and be like, oh, this is a little stiff now. So something else to keep in mind. But yeah, I do the exact same. I trim it to the barb, so it's even with the barb when you lay it down.
Another little trick that some guys do with the weed guard on like the candy finesse jig, because the big thing on the river is when you're coming over something, if the jig rolls, that's usually how it gets snagged.
Correct.
You know, on wood anyway. Sometimes the head will get stuck in rock, but so they'll take that. This is gonna be tough to show you. Hopefully you can see it. But if you take this weed guard and fan that out,
always do that.
Right, when it
turns, it goes from this to this.
Yeah, exactly. And that'll help it so that if it turns, it doesn't get snagged as easy. We're big time into the non-getting snagged or trying not to get snagged.
That's always nice.
I know all about that. I only lost 2 today, and one was right at the end of the day. I was just as I was getting beat the piss out of me by 17 to 25-mile-an-hour winds all day. I finally succumbed to the wind and was like, "Oh my god, I'm not getting this one." I lost one super early, and then the whole day. So for like 4 hours, nothing. Didn't lose a single jig, and then at the end, I was like, "Oh, I'm breaking it off and leaving." My back was absolutely killing me.
That's a good day, though.
It was a good day of fishing. So for these, let's go back here. Now I have a lot of people ask me about the Midwest finesse jigs. Yeah, I guess the jig you would call it, Ned head. I see you do make those. So if anybody's looking for these, Scott's got them. Some cool colors out there too.
Mm-hmm.
My personal favorite. Where is it? Did I skip over it? Oh, there we go. My personal favorite, the June bug looking purple rain.
Yeah.
So did you model, what size hook do you use? Do you just use the regular size 1 on those?
I use 1 on my 2 smallest colors, the 16th and 3/32, and then I use 1/0 on the rest of them.
Okay. Yep. I think mine is the same. I think I did my last 2 heaviest, which is like a quarter and something, to take the 2/0, like you said, for the river when they're a little bit heavier.
Yeah, I want to do that. I modified one of my molds to take the 2/0 in the quarter ounce. I don't put it on the website though, because I've got one awesome customer that I make them for, but I don't put that option on the website because it's a little janky. You know, I got to do a lot of work to clean them up.
Sure. Yeah, it's not as clean. Yep.
Yeah.
Kuda in the house said he's doing lots of jig tying. Another guy, if you want to get some cool, actually, and Kuda, I've shouted you out, I don't know how many times. Speak of another one, Kuda likes the ones that don't have the weed guard here. He's kind of done a little different creek river look, but his little finesse, whoops, am I going the wrong way? His little finesse football head here. I cut this one down and put the Guggen Rattling net on there.
Very
Looks
cool.
Pretty sick. So another
Diego
guy
loves Guggen
out there. I do. Basically, I used to be a Guggen squad member. Basically, I use so much of their stuff. Oh, wait, that was Dizzle. Yeah, I forgot. That was Dizzle. But he said he's going to be at the Chicago and Detroit shows. Cool, my friend. I hope you are well. His question was, how do you catch fish with a jerkbait? I feel like that could be a whole completely different conversation, my man. So let's see. So for the jig stuff here, as I said, I wanted to go back and look at this one because I know it's the time to throw them. I just don't have any confidence in them. But you make, are they not on the site? Oh, wait, that's just jigs. Hold on. So if we go over to Umbrella Rigs, he makes some really cool little small, the RIP baby umbrella, which I really like. He's got the different wires and the hooks. So like here in Iowa, we can only have 2, 1, 2, and 3. And I think you've got one there just to show people for scale, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So this guy is the full size rip umbrella rig. And this happens to be a Minnesota rig. So it's only got 1 hook on it. And then this is the baby. So yeah, it's a lot smaller.
Yeah, it's like the size of your hand, basically. If you hold your hand up for the small one, it's basically like the size of, So you can see they're pretty small little finesse rig.
And these,
I really like that one.
These are fun all over the place. They work great on the river for smallies, especially this time of year. You know, and you can slow roll them pretty good. They work everywhere. We were throwing them on ponds the other day and catching them. And they're going out in that Dark Horse tackle box for November. Yeah, they just went out.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Yep, those are sweet. Yeah, dude, I know I need to throw them more. I have no confidence in them. And, Bass Geek told me, especially with the downsized ones, he's like, dude, don't put any thought into it. Throw it just like you would a spinnerbait.
Or just throw it just like you would a swim bait, like just a regular swim bait.
Yep.
I like to think of it like that because they're not as weedless as a spinnerbait. So like if you want to throw at wood, you're probably going to get snagged.
Yeah,
more like
I do that a lot
than you would with a spinnerbait.
Debo, I've put like handful of questions into
Oh,
the
okay. Have I missed some?
StreamYard chat too. I don't know if you have. I saw those on there and threw them in there.
Okay, we got those. I got the weed guard one. Yep. Pat.
I just
Okay,
saw
and that was
question
about
and copied and pasted it. So
okay. Yeah, Patrick. Do I fish a jerkbait differently in drought conditions? The lakes in eastern PA are super low. No, I mean, this time of year, hitting those points with the jerkbait, good chance you're going to find them feeding up out there. I mean, as long as you've got pretty clear water where you can fish the jerkbait, no, I'm not fishing it. The only difference is longer pauses. Colder water, I'm going to give it a little bit longer pause. And don't be afraid to mess with your depth. So if you're fishing like a 12-foot drop off and those fish tend to be down a little bit more, don't be afraid to go to like, a 7-foot to 10-foot dive and jerkbait, because depending on what line you're throwing it on, it's not going to get down to that. If you're throwing on 12-pound line and it's supposed to be a 7-foot diver, maybe you're only getting to 5-foot, let's say. The lighter the line you use, the deeper that jerkbait's going to go. So keep that.
And you're using suspending or slow diver, slow
I think
sinking?
he said before, yeah, he was using the Vision 110s, the Stunna, so suspending and slow fall.
With the water levels being low, I'd definitely be jerking it upright versus low.
Oh, true.
So think about that, because for Patrick, yeah, if it's super low.
Yeah, this is the swim bait hat I was saying that mimics that, or the one that he uses for the swim jig, the same look.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool. That kind of wedge shape. It's got kind of the little gill flare there. It's a wedge shape, perfect for. And this is what I got. This is what you use on those little umbrella rigs, which is nice. There's a picture of one.
Yeah,
right there. Pretty cool.
Those are fun as hell to catch. We gotta get you out for those hybrids one of these falls.
Oh, I would love to.
Oh my god. It's so much fun.
Let's see what else. Dizzle, what questions do you got? I know or Scott, what else do you want to talk about? Hair jigs. Now's the time for some hair jig throwing. I suck with them. Again, one I have no confidence in, but your preacher jig looks pretty sweet.
Yeah, I got one of these here in that purple haze color.
Yeah, I've never thrown one.
Yeah, so give you a scale. I mean, it's big
and
it's a pretty big jig.
But once you get into the water, that all kind of shrinks down, and it's got just like a natural kind of, almost looks like a plastic flow to it.
Yeah,
unless you stop it, you let it flare out. But
when it comes to these preacher jigs, the biggest tip I'll tell you is start with the 3/4 ounce. This material, it is like a parachute when it gets in the water. So if you're fishing like 15 to 20 foot, which is typically what people are using these for, that 3/4 ounce will still take probably 5 to 10 seconds to get to the bottom. It's a really slow fall. If you go with a 1/2 ounce, which is what most people would do because they think 1/2 ounce is heavy enough, it's almost like a suspending bait, which could be cool too. But just so you know.
I like the Gandalf. Great reference.
Yeah, what was I looking at on sorry not to switch topics, but I was on the swim jigs. It's the Blue Dream. The thing looks amazing.
And the swim jig you said?
Yeah. That would be dynamite. I mean, that's my go-to basic color, kind of bluegilly pattern jig.
Yeah, that is a absolute like bluegill kind of sunfish.
Second one on the top row from the right, Debo. Right there. Really good looking jig. Swim jig. Amazing.
Yeah, we'll put a little box together here. The winner I pick, I might just throw you like $50, Scott, and let you put a box together, and then I'll just send you the winner. Have you send a box out?
You just send me the winner, and we'll send the box out.
No. I'll pay for it. You already sent me 2 huge boxes of stuff.
So what?
You don't need to do that. I would never self-volunteer somebody to send out a free giveaway. No. Or I'll buy one and we'll figure it out. Justin, that's actually exactly what I was catching them on. Was the finesse jig, the War Eagle heavy finesse jig with a zoom speed craw. Those were in the box next to me. I was going through stuff. Hadn't thrown a zoom speed craw in I don't know how long. And that's exactly what I caught them all on today. Good question, Patrick. Do you need a trailer on a hair feather jig? No. All the motion and the flow comes from the hair and the feather. It looks a lot different in the water. That's the weird thing about them, is because you sent me some of those finesse hair jigs, which actually I need to get those out. But I was going to throw on my my BFS stuff. But that would be cool.
The Cloud 9s. Those are
those
are a lot of fun, these little jigs. But the one thing that I would do, so on underneath the skirt, it looks similar to this. It's got a keeper, and it's got our little scent trap stuff, which is thread. Is thread on the hook shank, holding up the keeper. So what I would do though on that Cloud 9 is take a little piece of worm plastic and slide it up there. That's why that keeper's there. So you're not really putting a trailer on, but you're putting a little worm piece on the base of that in that trailer, and it'll help keep the skirting material fluffed out more when you're on retrieve.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, because that jig has got a ton of motion in the water, but right by the base of the head, if you don't put a little plastic in there, it just goes straight down. It's very minnow-like, but if you put a little piece there, it gives it a little bit more shape to it, a little more bulk.
Trevor in the house. Trevor, I hope you're well. He said, I have not thrown a brown hair jig. Yeah, I feel like black is always the go-to when I talk to people. I don't have confidence in them, so don't listen to me, but I feel like that's what I always see people throwing. But looking at these, yeah, the brown and purple is cool. I also thought this one was kind of neat. The old Jungle Juice. That's something, gosh, the stuff that at parties back in college, none of it was, dad pop style, but the stuff that we used to drink and not even think about it. And now I just I cringe at that. Like, oh gosh.
Oh man. It just made me think of, we played cards one time at Debo, and I had a bad evening that night. Some sort of card game I didn't know the rules to, and everyone took advantage of that fact.
Yeah.
Well, these are not edible. You should not be ingesting any of these lures. So you should be fine.
Let's see. Now another one. Let's see what else. So we saw those. And this is also kind of a cool one. I see there's a number of companies kind of going to this. Is there any advantage to the kind of collared jig lead piece coming up over that keeper? So I've seen a few companies do that.
It reinforces the weed guard. And I like that. I like a stiffer weed guard. And the weed guard is long, so it has give right by the hook point without any problem there.
Mm-hmm.
So show that. But down the base here, it keeps that. The way we look at it is, if something's coming at the jig, your deflection point you want to be right here, because you want it to get over that hook point.
Right.
So having that stiffer base really helps push away stuff that would get under the hook. You know what I mean?
Right. Okay, that makes sense. I like that. Helps stiffen it up, reinforce. This color, Dizzle, does that scream Dizzle or what?
Mm-hmm.
Holy smokes.
That's a good looking color.
So one of the cool things with this jig, man, we were going for like an engulfed hook eye on the top, and then after playing around with it and testing it, switched to this design where you've got material in front of the hook eye, but having the hook eye exposed like that, like a lot more than normal, it really helps this jig pivot and keep your knot pretty safe. But the way that this thing is set up, like that hybrid football,
kind of like an ovally shape almost.
Yeah, it helps this jig not to go side to side. When it's on the bottom, it stays nice and flat. But then when it hits some kind of an obstruction, the first thing that hits is the material on the jig. it doesn't hit the hook eye.
Hmm.
So we like the design. It's been great on the river, even in a 3/8. What I find with a lot of our jigs, if you do get it a little snagged, you just with a slack line, just kind of like shake it a little bit, give it the bow and arrow. Usually it'll pop right up and over.
The Dizzle butt tap was working well for me. Now hold on, let me explain. It's not what it sounds like.
Whoa.
Dizzle taught me this. When you've got a snag, you've got a little pull in it, give it just a little bit of slack and give the butt a real quick hit, and it will like slap slack into that and help that jig pop up and out. And that worked mostly for all of my.
I've tried so many different options of getting stuck jigs out that I've had plenty of experience.
Oh yeah, I learned a trick. I went to Lake Fork for like a little fishing trip, and they've got the wood everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. And
did you find wood and pitch to wood?
Lots of wood. We got a guide. He took us out, and we were fishing with a crankbait. Got my crankbait snagged, and he's like, "All right, stop. Just give me the rod." And he just grabs the line at the tip. He doesn't even use the rod. Like, put the rod down, just grab your line, and he snaps it. So it's like an advanced,
kind of like the bow and arrow.
Kind of like the bow and arrow, but you're just snapping the line. And
it's that shock. It's that shock that you send down the line, because it's like, I always tell people, it's like, when you were a kid and you would take a rope and do the thing where the rope would do the rolls in it. It's just like that, where you're snapping that shock into it. And
or like slapping somebody with a towel.
I never did action. That. You probably did all the time, bully. Yet another point that Dizzle was a bully in PE class. He was that one big kid. Dizzle's always been big all of his life. So he was probably the big giant in 6th grade. All these other poor little kids were 4 foot. Dizzle was 5'8" and just towel snapping poor little kids. Shame on you, Dizzle.
Yeah, that works. That works from the bank too. It's definitely easier to get snags out when you're on a boat, but you need something that works on the bank.
Yep. Yeah, so I was going to look at this one now. I honestly don't give enough love to football jigs. That's something I can do more in the kayak, but like you're saying, from the bank, usually like a 5/16 is my favorite, quarter, 3/8, something like that. But these, so instead of being like the big, thick, heavy ones, if you've got rock and stuff around, quarter, 5/16, 3/8, just like what I was saying, what I would throw from the bank. Where would you use something like this for somebody bank fishing? Or I guess maybe a better question would be, when people are looking at this, if they're looking to buy these, they see, okay, the candy finesse jig versus a finesse football jig versus the Count Cracula compact little jig. Where would you kind of differentiate each of these three? Because they're all really cool jigs.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So the toughest thing really is the football versus the candy jig. I think that the candy jig, I'm throwing that if I'm around wood and grass and rock, where I'm going to use the football jig if I'm predominantly in rock or gravel or really hard bottom. But the candy jig gives you that 1/8 ounce that you could throw on spinning gear too. Lately, I'd have a footballs on my casting gear and have an 1/8 ounce candy on my spinning gear, kind of go like that. So some of the ball head versus the football are interchangeable for the most part, but
just kind of depending on what you like.
Yeah, exactly. But if you got grass, if you're around grass edges, that's where I would definitely use the ball head for sure. The other ones become more of a profile option for you. Okay, so like the Count Cracula or the Pillhead, they're both based off of the same hook. All right, so it's a 3/0 Mustad 2X hook, but it's a smaller one. It's not a 3/0 or a 4/0 like the full size flipping jig. It's a much smaller hook. So it gives you the ball head, like that finesse ball head or a compact football head, where you can downsize the trailer to really be finesse. So that's the concept behind them. We've got, not BassDope, but in the fishing industry, we've got a million jigs that are the same relative size, and there's not a lot of options in jigs where you can shrink down the profile. So those are two options, two different heads where you can really downsize. You could use them on spinning gear. I like using them on casting, but that would be the decision point for me, is like I've got a compact jig, different profile, but it fishes like a full-size jig.
That makes sense. Chad in the house. Chad, I hope you're well. He said he bagged the limit on the jig today. Hopefully did you take Uncle Steve out with you? Let's see. Oh, Malone's in here. Malone, congrats on Lil Malone. He said, "What's up? Running late." Oh, there you go. He was taking care of Lil Malone. Just had a little boy. Congrats, man. It's the coolest thing once you become a parent. The sloth. What's the difference between a flipping jig and a finesse jig?
So flipping jig, give you a size of what that would look like. And then, of course, the finesse, one of the finesse jigs. So it's really about the profile, about it being just a smaller, compact type of thing. The flipping jig is got a large hook in it.
Very stout, bigger, yeah.
Yeah. And what we do with this, you flip it around wood, you flip it into cover. You're not throwing this into pads, right? That's going to be more of a Texas rig type of thing. But your light cover, your wood, your laydowns, rock. Where you want like a heavier hook, right? You hook one of them, you've got a beefier hook to drag them out of some stuff.
For the bank versus boat or vessel of some sort too, I tend to have better luck on a lighter jig from the banks, like a quarter or 5/16. Dizzle has perfected his 3/8, but I even snag a 3/8 from the bank a lot. So that's kind of another factor for me, is you can try to go as light as you can get away with on the bank, and you'll tend to get snagged less, I find.
Yeah, I was going to say that I didn't want to pigeonhole the flipping jig, but really this is, I would say, way more leaning towards a boat jig versus a bank jig.
Or isolated wood. The flipping jig is still good with like isolated wood and stuff from the bank.
Yep.
Use the thing with throwing anything from the bank that goes down and sinks when you're looking for a bite is you always kind of have to think, how am I going to get it out? If you have to throw over 5 trees to get it, down there, if you hook a fish, how are you going to get it out and back to you?
And that's why Dizzle likes the swim jig.
Yeah, that's a good looking one too. Almost like a little perch.
Yep.
What's the swim bait on there?
This is the mayor.
I was gonna say, is that a mayor?
I love them.
Dizzle.
I love them.
Oh.
Dude, they're so good. Rapala crushed on those.
They really did. This thing, I mean, I know you know this, but you can slow roll this and that tail just keeps going. I love it.
Gabe in the house. Gabe, we got to get you on. Didn't you win a boat? I heard the news of you winning a boat, my friend. We got to get you on and talk through all that. That would be a hell of a ton of fun. Let me know if you's interested. Gators, do you pour and tie all the jigs yourself?
Yes, sir. Everything is so. Even on like our spinnerbait here, I keep messing up the alignment on this thing. It's opposite, and I can't wrap my head around it.
That's backwards. Yeah, you move it. It's backwards of the way you move it.
Right. But the wire on this is not preformed. I form all the wires. So this spinnerbait is, I bend all the wires, pour the heads, paint the heads, tie the skirts, all with hand tied. Yeah.
Are you all thread tie on all your stuff, or do you wire tie it all?
It's all thread, but it's the Vivis 150 denier. It's a really, really strong thread.
Strong stuff. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was playing around with the wire stuff, and with this Vivis GSP thread, you just don't need it. I can wrench down on that head and it doesn't break.
Martin asked, what kind of jig would you recommend for smallmouth?
It's, I mean, 100% the candy jig.
Gabe says, let's do it. Gabe will pick a date and figure it out. The candy jig. Whoops,
Yep.
Martin, the candy jig. Yeah,
Yep.
we'll put a fun little box together and pick a winner here, because I don't want to put a box together and then just send it out, because whoever wins, I want you to kind of get what you want, what you use, what you fish. So I'm excited. I'm actually gonna have to put another one. Dizzle, I know you would like some stuff. I always love supporting the small companies here, and Scott was nice enough to send way more than he needed to when he did that. And the funny thing was, I hadn't even talked to you yet.
No.
Scott said he'd been watching me for a few years, appreciated the stuff that I did, and all of a sudden I just get these 2 boxes. So
yeah, I mean, it was, I have like a handful of channels that I've watched for like about 4 to 5 years, and you've always been my favorite one. I like the no nonsense, just regular guy.
I appreciate that, man.
And also the whole fishing community. I've been a part of it. I've been chatting back and forth with people for years, and they're just great people. Like they're all great people. So
yes, we have a great group of fishing friends. That's why I call them that. It's not just, you're not just a number.
But that was inspiration for a lot of things. So I felt like, hey, I really need to show this guy kind of what his channel did for me. It was pretty cool.
That. I appreciate that a
lot.
But
that brings me to, how did I not send you a spinnerbait?
Ooh, yeah.
Because obviously watching you for 4 or 5 years, I know that spinnerbait is one of your favorite lures.
Which is funny because it's kind of fallen to the wayside. I fished it earlier this year, had a really good day on it. But man, yeah, I've not fished it as much.
We are in the middle of redesigning this thing, so I did not want to send you the old model. So that's why. But when we get this done, I'll send you a few. You'll like them.
Yeah, when you saying no nonsense, I was chuckling inside thinking basically the exact same thing, Little Rich. Debo and Dizzle are full of nonsense. Yeah, some of the tangents we get off onto, you guys would crap your pants if you heard half the stuff that we get into, the conversations and the arguments. Like so far, a big one was I love the Predator 2 movie with Danny Glover. Danny Glover's sidearm is a Desert Eagle 5.0. And I said, that makes complete sense as a sidearm if you might be fighting a predator. And still to this day, Dizzle argues that point.
It's the most ridiculous comment ever. I've never heard anything more ridiculous than that.
It makes sense. Listen, I want to open it up to everybody else. We're at about 47 minutes. We've still got 175 people watching. What do you all have for questions? We got a fun jig maker, a local guy, local-ish, tying all of his stuff, making his lures. What other questions do you guys have? What is there anything we haven't looked at? Buzzbaits?
I actually do have a question about spinnerbait, and I guess it's more of a preference, I guess. On your spinnerbaits, do you I see obviously you have the extended skirt that acts like a trailer on there. Do you put on like a stinger hook, or do you ever put on a trailer also with your spinnerbaits?
I personally never do. I never use a stinger on anything.
Really?
Yeah.
I usually tend to, just because I feel like there's a lot. I don't know if it's just like a mental thing of my own, where I feel like a lot of the fish have seen a ton of spinnerbaits, so maybe something a lot of short strikes and things like that with them. I don't know. I just feel a lot more comfortable. I'm one of those people that never put on like an actual trailer, like a paddle tail or anything like that on a spinnerbait.
Yeah, I don't either. The only thing is once in a while, if you're in a wind, I might put like a piece of a trailer on, or even a full trailer, just to give me a little bit more weight. Because I don't know about you, but when I'm throwing a spinnerbait into the wind, it seems to just
it catches like a
parachute.
Like a sail. Yeah,
like a parachute. But I have no good reason not to use a stinger, other than I guess 2 things, or a trailer hook, probably a better term. In this situation, I feel like they turn, right?
Yeah.
And maybe it makes that spinnerbait a little less weedless, especially in wood. And the other thing is if the bass does get the whole thing, does it hook the bass a little bit too deep?
Yeah,
So
I actually, God, it's been 2, 3 weeks now since the last time I gotten out. I did catch could have been a PB. I don't know. My PB's like just shy of 6, but it was a big bass, and the stinger nicked part of the gill, and I was like, I don't even want to mess around with putting this thing on a scale or doing anything like that because I wanted to get it back in the water.
yeah,
You know,
Um,
another good tip for that is carry a good pair of heavy duty side cutters too, because I've
mm.
had to do that for pike. Keep the side cutters and just cut the hook. But
Yeah, it
now
wasn't
though, now I want to catch a pike and eat. Pike are delicious to eat, and I've perfected
bone
the
removal.
the
clean,
four
yeah, cleaning
five
them
fillet
with.
method or whatever.
Yep, yep.
Yeah, they are. They're. When we go up north and do any trips on the boundary waters, we'll mix in a couple pike with the walleye, and other than the texture, guys don't know the difference.
It's the cleaning process too. It's the cleaning process of having to have 8 pounds of slime getting through all that to clean them.
Yeah.
It's pretty disgusting.
Yeah.
Elliot,
Look,
I don't know if you're comfortable talking about this, but Elliot said, so business question for you. You said you're working with Dark Horse. Do you see an uptick in orders with that type of thing? So including it in there.
Well, so their new box like dropped yesterday or today. That was the first time we were ever in it. I just saw one um, guy on Instagram posted a reel. So I
Oh, and I
haven't
just
gotten it. I
froze.
haven't got any orders. Who
Cool.
froze?
I froze.
Oh, okay.
oh, he did freeze.
I didn't get any orders from it yet, but I'm sure. You know, the thing is with those, first of all, those guys are awesome, really good dudes, and they're just regular guys like us, and like the aggressively average angler guys. They're just good people. But it gets the name out there. And that's what we're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, it's exposure and basically a marketing type thing too, just to kind of get people used to the name and I've
Yep.
never seen this. DeBears fan, not sure when to use them. I basically use for a micro jig. Anytime you'd use like a Ned rig to me.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's just a finesse downsized jig that catches fish just like a jig and a Ned rig. It's kind of the middle of both worlds instead of a big mop style jig and not a little tiny plastic. It's the best of both.
But I like to say it's an alternative. I never say that it's a replacement for a Ned because man, there's just some days they're hitting the Ned no matter what. You could throw this in front of them and they're sitting right there and they want the Ned, they don't want a jig. So it is what it is.
Kuda asked, do you sell more of the 3 or 5 arm baby umbrella rigs for the river?
Oh, that's a good question.
Oh, stump the dealer. Hold on. I'm going to leave. I'm going to be right back.
Yep.
All right. So I don't know about sell because I'm not sure that I know exactly what the people are using it for.
Right.
Me personally, though,
I'm going to stay. I don't know if StreamYard's changed it, but it says, are you sure you want to quit? It could not save something. So you might have frozen Debo. Sorry. Let it go.
frozen
Get it?
Debo.
Oh,
No.
Let it go. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. So me personally, I like the 5 arm. I just like more stuff. But they both work, especially on the river. When you think about the river, you don't have a crazy water column, right? So this thing is almost a top water bait if you think about it, because a lot of times you're just rolling it through 2-3 foot of water. So I don't think like a couple extra arms is going to make that big of a difference on the river. That's like our rivers. I don't know. You might be fishing a river that's 15-20 foot deep. Ours are pretty shallow.
Are yours more of a slow moving river, or are they like pretty quick, pretty peppy?
So on the Kankakee, it can get pretty brutal. But on the DuPage and Des Plaines River, there's you feel the current, don't get me wrong, but they're a lot less dangerous.
Yeah.
Christian, on the Candy Finesse jig, 15 to 17 pounds suitable for line. or is it pretty light wire?
Oh no, it's a 2X hook. So yeah, 15 to 17. I'll use on my 7-1 medium heavy fast St. Croix rod with 30-pound braid. I use a 17-pound leader. So
yeah, I think 12 for like my small one. So that would be like a quarter is usually what I use is 12-pound. But yeah, 15 is my other go-to for like 5/16 and up.
Yep.
So 12 or 15.
Yep.
17. Yeah, really just whatever you're comfortable with. Don't let other people tell you. As long as you can feel the jig and feel what you're doing. Sometimes if you get too heavy and too stiff of a fluorocarbon, it can be kind of tough to feel it if it's a little bit lighter jig. But yeah, as long as you're feeling and staying in contact.
Yeah,
Yeah, and the 17.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say for the 17 choice for me is because I'm on the river and the line's getting beat up a lot. So it's not so much I'm worried about keeping on a 17-pound plus fish or anything like that. It's really about the line getting beat up.
Yeah, that's one thing that I know Debo talks about a lot. It's, it's not necessarily for the fish that you're catching. It's for the stuff that you got to bring the fish through, or
For sure. That's
all
why
the
you have drag.
races. Yeah, right. I know I was at 20 for a while, and I was just I didn't feel comfortable necessarily with 20. So I'm definitely a 17, straight 17 is where I go.
I did the exact same thing. I was on 20 for a long time, and I just feel like 17 is the perfect weight right now for line. It's a little more flexible, a little easier to cast in a lot of ways, and it's strong enough. I like it a lot.
Nice.
Had looks like a couple people asking if you fix if you fish the Fox Chain River. A couple people asking.
I don't.
No,
I don't. The Fox River is. I got to pass 2 awesome rivers to get to the Fox, and the Fox is a great river. Don't get me wrong, and I want to fish it, but it's about an hour away, which is not too far. A lot of for a long time when I was young. Well, when I was young and for a long time, people would leave this state to go fish on fishing trips. They go to Indiana, Michigan, or Wisconsin. Anything.
Iowa. Everybody goes to Iowa because of the amazing fishing we have here.
You probably are like Illinois.
No, known across the country for some of the best fishing you could experience.
Yeah. So, but after discovering our rivers around here, we've got some pretty great fishing. You just got to know where to look. Our lakes are a little, at least right on my area. I don't have any really great lakes. We've got some power plant lakes that are okay, but they get so much pressure. Lake Michigan is not bad for smallies. I don't make my way out on the big lake very often, though.
Gators, random thought. Do you think fish can see as well in fast-moving water as lake water?
Well, I don't know that it matters, because if they're, the fish are sitting in the river with their nose pointing upstream, and they're whatever they're looking for is moving at them. So I think they're just ready to pounce. I think at the end of the day, we're fishing for cats.
I think you're right on that they're just kind of accustomed to it. They're almost like a different morph of, they've just gotten used to it. It's almost like a sprinter versus a long distance runner. Both of them are running, but just kind of a whole different deal, I guess. They've adapted to that way of life, I guess.
They basically have figured out, okay, where they need to be in their ambush point. And they know that food is coming their way. And they're literally just sitting there waiting for it to come past them.
I do know one thing, compared river to like lake or a still body. River fish are so much meaner than what like a lake or a pond or whatever type of fish would be.
Yeah.
Like river smallies specifically they're just full of piss and vinegar 100%. They
we back.
He's back.
He's back.
I was just looking online and it said that you can still do that. It doesn't end the stream. So we're back.
Yeah, a 12-inch to 13-inch smallie in the river fights like a 18, 19, you know.
Yeah.
And what's cool, you check them out, and their tails are giant. They got this little tiny body and this big fan for a tail.
Yeah, Debo, I just brought up while you jumped out for a second that river fish are so much meaner than like a lake
yeah.
or a pond fish.
Yep. Not a bot. Does Iowa even exist?
Not a bot.
Basically, no. Fishing for corn. Yeah, we do have a lot of corn around here. Let's see. Yeah, if it wasn't for Field of Dreams, nobody would know Iowa exists. Yeah, you're all right. Y'all are nailing it.
Except for the food that everybody eats.
Ooh, yeah, except you wouldn't have food because of us farmers.
What is it? 80% of food comes from us.
The Midwest.
No big deal.
He's unfrozen. I know, I'm unfrozen. Okay, what other questions you got? We're at an hour here. Like I said, let's pick somebody. Let's pick someone. I'll get a deal figured out here.
So this dude here.
Oh yeah, I saw that, and I'm like, what in the hell kind of contraption is this that you've created?
So I had a dream. It's kind of funny. I just had a dream, and I dreamt this stupid thing. And I got up in the morning, and I made it. And I sent a picture of it to one of my buddies. And he goes, "Easy, Frankenstein."
Have you caught fish on it? Have you used it?
I haven't. I made it like a couple weeks ago, and I had it out, and like top water is not like a thing really right now, but it runs great. Like it runs perfect in the water. These things stay right below. I think it's gonna work. I think it's gonna work in the spring on the river. I actually might take it off the site just for a while, but we were just having a laugh about it. It runs really good. But what wouldn't you, if you could catch one fish on top water, wouldn't you want to catch two at the same time? That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Oh, somebody already guessed it. You guys are
that buzzbait reminds me of the
and this will
the
be for just for anybody that's just getting in here. If you didn't hear earlier, I'll work with Scott to get a box put together for the winter. You'll email me, and then I'll just tell Scott what kind of stuff you're looking for, and he'll get you a box put together and sent out to you.
That buzzbait reminded me of the first whopper plopper that I had gotten out of a mystery box a long time ago. It was basically a similar design, but it had two like mini whopper ploppers in like
the
a
river to sea one
type of thing.
Had those two little fish that were buzzbait things on top. Remember those?
Yeah.
I don't even think I threw it maybe once, and I was just like, this thing is ridiculous. It was a horrible color too. It was. Thanks, Mystery Tackle Box. They're not listening.
Was there? Do we miss anything else? Was there anything else from your stuff you want to talk about?
I don't know. These guys are kind of new for us. We just put these on the site. The hover stuff. The one thing. So this is not a custom mold. I was working on one, and then Do It came out with this, and it was like, how do you really make this any better? And do I really want to? But the one thing that we did was we colored them. Okay, so most of the competitors are all using just like a regular clear coat on them. We started coloring some of them, thinking that if you guys are using some translucent trailers, that you can get like a color on the inside of the trailer and make it look a little different, especially with like the chartreuse one. You know, maybe make yourself a little sexy shad with a translucent trailer.
Okay. Yeah, I've still not hopped on the whole hover stroll, mid stroll. I don't know what the hell I'm doing with all that.
Me either.
I feel like you almost need live scope to really perfect that, to get it above them, and because like one of my buddies has live scope, and I could see the draw to it. But I feel like fishing blind without it would just be so hard to figure out what depth you're at and where you're trying to keep it. Like that'd be really hard. Not to say that it can't be done, but
yeah, my brother gave me an old boat this last year, an old Alumacraft. It's 94, and he wasn't using it, and I was using it a little bit. So he's like, "Here, why don't you just take it?" because it's probably costing him more money to keep the insurance and everything on it than it was worth.
Right.
But I ended up putting new trolling motor and some electronics on it. And I put live scope on it. Just to, really, I like wading rivers. That's pretty much my favorite thing to do.
Oh, okay.
Is my my live scope and my spot lock on my legs, you know.
Yeah.
But I wanted to experience live scope and see what it was all about, and I played with it this last summer, and it's pretty cool. I mean, it caught some fish offshore using it that I wouldn't have otherwise caught. But you know, it became a thing where when I would take the boat out, everything that I was doing was revolving around live scope.
You weren't just fishing; you were instinct fishing,
right? And so, so that is a very real. It's such a draw, you know. It's a thing that you got to be conscious of. That sometimes you just got to go out and fish.
Yeah, and it's tough because, especially when you can see the fish.
Yeah.
Just because you can see them doesn't mean you're going to catch them too.
No.
So then it's like, how much time are you going to spend on these fish that you can see before you move on? And you're like, it's kind of like ice fishing. Like you can see them on the flasher, and it can be so freaking
mesmerizing.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the word. I don't know. Yeah, you can just really get caught up in, okay, I can see him, I should be able to catch it, right?
Kind of get stuck on it, trapped.
Yeah, instead of just kind of covering water, like I'm gonna go poke a couple holes over here by this tree or whatever, and I could be slamming them, but it's like, gosh, there's fish here. I know they're gonna bite, you know.
Yep.
I mean,
yeah,
I kind of do
too. Gators. Scott, have you ever met Kuda? I think he's up there in the Chicago area. Jig Squad. He makes his own stuff too. Super good guy. I got to meet him back at a meetup. God, what's that been now?
I think he's actually, because I think we might have talked in one of the group chats back and forth at one of your lives. I think him and I are real close.
Yeah, I said nope, not yet. Not yet.
Not yet.
Okay, so let's see. We're #dope. If you would like to be entered for a giveaway, we'll get you a box figured out here. Let's get to 100. We've got 90. Let's get it to 100 now. I'll do whatever other sort of questions here, and
let's just pause this also real quick here, Debo, and see.
Yeah,
93 likes. Come on, we need a few more than 93, guys, gals, folks.
Hit the like button. It's free.
It's free.
Helps
virtually painless.
The Debo deal out here. 97. We've got 190 people watching. 97 entries. You want some jigs, don't you?
Come on, guys.
#dope. Get entered. 3 more. We need 3 more.
Debo, you know what we haven't done in a while, and I don't know as if it's
fishing license trivia.
Yes. Here we go. Ready? No.
Surprise.
Asked what a guest's PB, what they called it on, favorite technique, you know, that old kind of thing that we used to do with everybody. So I guess
let's draw, and then we'll ask it here. Then we'll give Scott a chance to think about. I am sharing, right? Okay.
Yep.
That would have been embarrassing. The winner. I see a lot of names here that I know.
Must be present to
Elliot. Elliot Cutright. I think Elliot was asking some good jig questions earlier.
Elliot did ask a question. Elliot, if you're here, please make yourself known.
Oh yeah.
Wow, I didn't even get the whole thing out. That was quick.
Nice.
Oh, awesome. There he is. Ha, boom. Okay, Elliot.
Dang, that was fast. Super quick. I kind of feel like Justin. I never win. I never even see my name pop up.
What are you doing entering, Dizzle?
Nothing. I just helped the numbers out. That's all.
Oh my god.
I would pass the spoils on to somebody else.
Oh, look at this. Well, I'll just throw you some extra money, Scott, because Elliot said we can save some shipping. I already put it in an order during the live.
Oh
wow.
Boom. All right. Well, I'll get you hooked up. We'll get a whole bunch of extra stuff in your box there.
There you go.
Love it. Yeah. Okay. So Scott, I also want to ask. Dizzle had a really good point there. I'm going to start it off real quick, and then Dizzle can ask his questions. Oh, he's Canadian. Well, hey, I don't know if it allowed it to enter in for Scott. Scott, do you ship to Canada? Those
We do.
weirdos up there that cost $3,000 to ship to them.
Yeah. No, we'll ship to you.
Okay, perfect. Oh, he's not. He's in California. Okay, so anyway, I was going to ask, out of your whole gambit of stuff that you make, what is your favorite thing to fish off of your website?
Oh, I mean, dude, I love the candy jig. I do, but I have to say, the swim jig is so much fun, dude.
Everybody's turning into a Randall lover. Oh yeah, me and Randy love to fish the swim jigs.
Because here's the thing, like I was never a gigantic swim jig lover, but I could have this thing tied on, and I could not know where I'm going to fish, and I could fish anywhere with this. Anywhere.
No, you guys are right. Yeah, it's a 4x4. It's not like a chatterbait or a spinnerbait where it's like, well, it might not do good around grass or it might not do great around wood. It's the 4x4 moving bait that can go through all that, like you said, without even knowing where you're going.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it comes through grass amazingly. That's the one thing that I've always, or that I've started to really like about it is
yeah, Dizzle and Scott are going to be canoodling later.
it's very versatile. It's 4x4, like Debo said.
Yeah,
a bunch of bullies in here.
There is.
Oh, yeah. Bull. He says a bunch of bullies. Hey, just all be lucky that we're not in PE class with Rand Dizzle when we're in 6th grade. Okay, so Scott, Dizzle, ask your questions now.
So Scott, one thing that we've always done, or we used to do anyway, would be, just a couple of quick ones. What's your PB? What you, I guess, caught it on? Doesn't necessarily have to go into too much detail. Favorite method, Debo kind of already touched on, and then there's one follow-up at the very end once you kind of get through those.
So just under 6 pounds, so
Okay.
like 5.8 type of thing. It was in a pond on the BassDope buzzbait.
Nice.
Oh yeah, I was going to ask about those because so I like a little short, stumpy buzzbait for plastics. Has kind of been my confidence buzzbait the last few years.
Yep.
So I did want to ask, are you making that all yourself? Is that your own wire, form, everything?
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, that thing comes. I buy them in just straight little rods, and I got to bend all that up.
Okay, and they look
that's
really
a baby.
compact.
That's a baby. That's small.
That's what I like. I like a real nice. I don't know how big. Yeah, 3/8. I mean,
yeah. So you still get the same weight, but that. Yeah, there you go.
Small blade. That's what I like, dude. For around here, a little plastic on that.
Go back to the other picture, would you, Debo?
Here?
Yeah.
The picture?
Yeah. I just wanted to see the blade. Okay. Sorry.
So that trailer is a spunk shad.
Oh, Dizzle loves spunk shads.
Yeah.
They used to call Dizzle old spunk shad in the locker room after he was whipping people with towels.
Oh, man. But the one thing about that small blade is if you use a paddle tail on this, it throws it off because it's such a small blade.
Yeah, and that's so hard with the little. I feel like I don't know that I know a single buzzbait that I can get to run 100% true every single time once you start messing with plastics. Like the Jackal Firecracker is one of the most consistent I've thrown, but I've only thrown it with like little plastic trailers. But otherwise, you've always got to do tweaking. But I really like that one for around here. It's the Hank Cherry Picasso Toad Slayer is what this reminds me of, but I've had amazing luck with. So that's the small one. Okay, and so this is just a beefier blade on it.
The picture looks like the thing. There it is. There's my PB.
Oh,
boom.
Dang.
Yeah.
Funny we're talking about that.
Yep.
Is that the KVD frog, or what frog is that?
Yeah, it's the KVD. And I love that stupid frog for that because it's a there's not a lot of action to that tail.
Mm-hmm.
It works really good.
Yeah, I really like that. I really like that little finesse one.
So to your point though about running true, if you look at the big one, the totally buzzed bait, I offer it in the clockwise versus counterclockwise, and just flat out say that if you use the normal buzz bait, the clockwise, it veers left. If you use the counterclockwise, it'll veer right. Because it does. They veer, you know.
Oh, I didn't notice that. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and then like in the bottom in the description, you know, I put that in there. The only way to really truly get them perfectly straight is if it's a dual.
Yep. Completely agree. Otherwise, you're going to be messing with it every few casts. At least for me, I'm not a buzzbait master. I mean, I throw them a decent amount, but unless you're going with like a real finesse small trailer, it's just gonna the drag to it is going to start kicking it off one way or another. So
Yep.
I also think it helps to throw kind of the oblong. So if you put like a horny toad on, or like that toad that he was throwing, where it's like this shape that's going through the water versus a big round thing with a tail back here that tends to roll. Kind of helps too. So,
and that thing is super loud and annoying. It squeaks.
Oh,
it's a squeaker.
Nice.
It's what you want. The old squeaky. Do you tune them on tying them to your antenna and letting them get all squeaky out there? I know a lot of people used to do that back in the day, or tape them to your mirror.
Yeah, I after a few casts, it starts squeaking more.
Squeaking up.
Yeah.
What other question did you have? I think I kind of jumped in there on the buzzbait. Sorry, Dizzle. So we did the PB, the lure. What's your favorite way to fish? Let's do that one outside of your stuff. Which obviously you probably use a bunch of your stuff. What's your favorite way to catch a bass?
You're gonna hate me, but other than BassDope stuff, I really love the free rig.
No, I don't hate you at all. Dizzle got me turned on to it.
But I rig it pretty traditionally, you know, using that open drop shot weight. I'll use a bead though between the drop shot weight and the knot. And then I always use one of those VMC ringed hooks. And
the ringed hooks are amazing for a free rig.
Yep. And I typically always Texas rig a tube on it. So that's my version of the free rig. I love Texas rigging like a double dip tube on a 2-aught ringed hook.
Interesting. Yeah, the old tube free rig. Okay.
Yeah. No, it's pretty sweet because when you pop it, you know, you got that separation between the weight and the bait. That tube goes, you know, it does some weird stuff. An Ica would be good too. You know, something that kind of has like a weird glide to it.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
almost
awesome.
You know what I never thought about?
I love frog fishing though a lot too. I mean, so
no, you don't. Don't even try to recover from it.
I'm not.
You and I don't even believe you now. Oh yeah, but also I like what is that called? Oh yeah,
frogs or frags? Is it frogs?
Frags. William, when you free rig now, are you using straight braid or a leader? I've thrown my free rigs on spinning, and all my spinning I go braid to a leader now. I only fish braid to a leader on my spinning, unless I break off and don't have something. That crappie video I didn't have leader with me, so I went with that braid, but it was 6-pound braid. That stuff is like so freaking thin. It's like a thread, like nothing.
The only thing that I straight braid is frog. That's it. Everything is either braid to leader or straight fluoro. With the except a couple of my glide bait or big swim bait rods are copolymer, but pretty much I'm either braid to leader or fluoro. Or I mean, top water, I'm like a copolymer or a mono.
Yep.
What are you doing with your free rig? What are you fishing that on?
A 7.3 medium heavy fast. 30-pound braid to a 17-pound leader. And usually a 3/16 or quarter-ounce weight. That rig on the river just giving away so much juice, but hey,
it's terrible. Never use it on the river. It's horrible. You just snag constantly.
Doesn't work at all.
No, it's so good at staying out of snags. It's ridiculous.
I bet.
All
Yeah,
right, let's
quarter
see.
ounce
We'll
is my
take
weight.
we'll take one more question here.
follow up here, Debo.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Sorry,
just
and we'll
been-
take one more question. So if you've got a question out there, get it in the chat because we're gonna do a follow up and then one more question, then we'll call it.
Rob actually asked the question back at 8:46.
Oh,
If you want to find that, just throw it up there on screen.
at 8:46.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Rob Harrison,
Mm-hmm.
longtime watcher, first time caller. Oh, I
Yep.
did see this one. Yes, this is what we'll end it on. This always seems to be the question we end on. So,
Mhm.
Scott, what's your favorite breakfast food? And it doesn't have to be what's listed here. You could have your own creation, but B's and G's also a staple. Shrimp and grits. Don't get to have that as much as I like, but solid. Pancakes. What's your go-to? French toast.
I love eggs. I love hash browns. And there's only one way to make eggs and hash browns better, and that's with some biscuits and gravy.
Mm.
The
Okay,
old
meat up.
Yeah.
the old Bob Evans homestead breakfast.
Mm-hmm. God, to
That's
throw
good.
a little eggs, hash brown, probably maybe even some bacon and eggs with some gravy in a
Yeah.
burrito. Oh my God, in a burrito is amazing.
A burrito.
With some hot sauce.
Hella in the house. Rich, I'm glad to hear you did well on the river today. Patrick, this is the one we'll end it with. This is a good question. Patrick, where are you at? Are you northeast? I forget where you're at.
I think northeast, if I remember correctly.
3 lures to throw in about 8 hours. You were asking about the jerkbait earlier. Get that baby rigged up and just do a pop, pause.
Yeah.
Spinner,
Eastern PA, he
swim jig,
says.
Yeah.
PA.
I'm going probably jerkbait, lipless, and a jig.
Or Ned rig. Yep. I think you're spot on.
Yeah,
And
so
maybe even cut the jig down a little bit. For some reason, I feel like in colder weather, I have better luck on a smaller profile jig, even like with a finesse jig. I like to cut the skirts down a little bit more when it gets a little bit colder.
on ponds around here, the grass dying off and everything, I'm going with a swim jig, spinnerbait, and a drop shot. We still have a lot of grass, so the although I'd love to throw a jerkbait's going to get bound up too much. So right now some of the bass,
for sure. Yeah.
They're on shallow flats in like 3-4 foot of water with dying grass, but it's not all the way dead. So I'm going to go with that. But on the river, I'm doing my free rig, candy jig, and another candy jig. So probably a 1/4 ounce and then the 1/8 ounce.
Throwing jig with another jig, probably also a jig. All right. Well, listen, Fish and friends, we're going to get out of here. I thank you, everybody, for watching and hanging out with us today. Thank you, Scott, for joining us. Go check out his website. I did link it down below, so you can check out everything we're looking at. Dizzle, thanks for gracing us with your beautiful face. Always good to see you. Otherwise, we're getting out of here. Love y'all. Thanks for watching. Till next time.